And it looks like new information has been revealed about Caitlin Clark's future contract with the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark has already rewritten the rules of women's basketball. But what? If I told you her rookie contract might be hiding a groundbreaking twist? The Indiana Fever just leaked stunning new details about her future. And it's more than just numbers. It's a seismic shift for the WNBA. Could Clark be set to shatter salary records and force the league to change its rules entirely? This story isn't just about one player. It's about the future of the WNBA itself. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Clark's contract is making waves across the sports world. Keep telling everybody, Caitlin Clark's new contract is already in the works, bruh. The Indiana Fever is not wasting no time with making sure that their I's across all the T's when it comes to keeping Caitlin Clark on this Indiana Fever basketball team. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA is undeniable, and the Indiana Fever are feeling the pressure to secure her future with the team. It's no secret that her rookie salary, just $76,535, is a fraction of what she's worth. The league is grappling with the reality it's never faced before. A single player who generates more revenue, attention, and buzz than entire teams combined. Recent leaks from the Fever's camp suggest they're working behind the scenes on a groundbreaking contract. But here's the kicker. They're hitting a wall because of outdated league rules. Now we know she's still on a rookie contract for the next couple years. But one thing I can tell you that I know definitively is that the organization is working on a massive contract for Caitlin Clark's future contract. Dog. The numbers don't lie. Clark is responsible for 26% of all WNBA activity this season. Think about that. A rookie, fresh out of college, is carrying over a quarter of the league's revenue on her shoulders. 1 in every 6 tickets sold across the WNBA directly tied to her name. She's not just a player. She's a phenomenon, and the Fever know they can't afford to lose her. Now, we know Caitlin Clark is ultimately going to be the person to yay or nay whatever solution they come up with, so they gotta do everything in their best interest to get ahead of this thing, way before it ever comes up. So word on the street is that the Indiana Fever is putting together proposals and putting together different things under the WNBA rules that they can for Caitlin Clark's new contract. This season alone, the Fever drew over 300,000 fans to their games. The first time any WNBA team has achieved such a milestone. Merchandise sales skyrocketed by 500%, with Clark topping the charts. Her jersey is flying off the shelves faster than the league can restock. Then there's the viewership, an astronomical 300% increase, with 45% of those eyeballs tuning in specifically for Fever games. These aren't just stats. They're proof that Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's changing the game entirely. But here's the problem. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement, CBA, caps rookie salaries and limits what teams can offer. No matter how much Clark is worth, the Fever are stuck with a system designed long before a player of her magnitude came along. Under the current CBA, the maximum salary Clark could earn is around $241,000. That's pocket change compared to what she's bringing in. The Fever know it, Clark knows it, and the league knows it. Yet the rules remain the same, leaving everyone scrambling for solutions. The leaked information suggests the Fever are exploring every possible angle to ensure Clark stays in Indianapolis. Creative incentives, performance bonuses, endorsement tie-ins, you name it. They're considering it. But even these efforts feel like band-aids on a much bigger wound. The league's pay structure is fundamentally broken, and Clark's unprecedented success is exposing just how outdated it truly is. Let's not forget the economic impact she's had on the city of Indianapolis. According to reports, her presence alone has generated an estimated $36 million for the local economy. That's comparable to hosting major events like the NCAA Final Four. Clark isn't just lifting the Fever, she's lifting the entire city. And yet, she's earning less than many entry-level corporate jobs. It's a disparity that's impossible to ignore, and it's sparking a conversation that's long overdue. Clark's rookie contract, valued at $338,000 over 4 years, is laughable when you compare it to the NBA. Take Victor Wembanyama, the top pick in the 2024 NBA draft. He's earning $13 million in his first year alone. That's nearly 40 times what Clark will make in her entire rookie deal. The gap is staggering, and it raises a critical question. How can the WNBA expect to attract and retain top talent when the financial incentives are so limited? The Fever are reportedly preparing for a showdown. They know they'll need to go above and beyond to keep Clark, but the league's rules are standing in their way. The CBA is set to expire in 2025, giving the Fever a narrow window to push for changes that would allow them to offer Clark a contract worthy of her contributions. But change takes time, and time isn't on their side. The longer this drags on, the greater the risk that Clark could explore other opportunities, whether it's a rival league, overseas play, or even stepping away from the WNBA entirely. What's most astonishing is the ripple effect Clark has created. Her success isn't just about her. It's about what she represents for women's basketball as a whole. She's shown that there's a market for the sport, that fans will show up and spend money when given a reason to. But if the league can't adapt to this new reality, it risks squandering the momentum she's built. And let's be honest, this isn't just a WNBA problem. It's a sports problem, a societal problem. How is it that a player who has done so much for her league is still earning less than the average American household income? It's a question that cuts to the heart of how we value women's sports and the athletes who dedicate their lives to it. Clark's story is a microcosm of a larger issue, one that demands immediate attention. The Fever are in a precarious position. They need to lock Clark in for the long term, but they're hamstrung by a system that wasn't designed for players like her. The leaked information suggests they're working tirelessly to find a solution, but the odds are stacked against them. Unless the WNBA is willing to overhaul its pay structure, the Fever could face an uphill battle to keep their star player happy. And that's a risk they can't afford to take. Clark's future with the Fever and the league as a whole hangs in the balance. The next few years will be critical, not just for her career, but for the WNBA's trajectory. Will the league rise to the occasion and adapt to this new era of women's basketball? Or will it cling to outdated norms and risk losing one of the brightest stars it's ever seen? The stakes couldn't be higher for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA. Caitlin Clark isn't just a once-in-a-generation player. She's a walking brand, a marketing juggernaut, and a beacon of what women's basketball could become. But with the league's current limitations, the question remains, can the WNBA adapt quickly enough to secure her future, or will it watch her slip through its fingers? Let's break down why this situation is so urgent. Clark's influence extends far beyond the court. We're talking about a player who has single-handedly boosted league-wide TV viewership by 300%. Fever games alone account for 45% of the WNBA's broadcast value. And that's not just because she's good at basketball. It's because she's magnetic. Her style of play, her confidence, and her undeniable presence make her the kind of player fans will pay to see. And they're not just watching, they're buying. Her jersey is consistently sold out, leading league merchandise sales by a mile. The Fever aren't just relying on her to win games. They're relying on her to keep the franchise afloat. And honestly, can you blame them? In a league where financial struggles are the norm, having a player like Clark is a lifeline that if you like the video, please comment. But here's the issue. The Fever can't simply open their wallets and write her a check for what she's truly worth. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement has tied their hands, capping salaries and limiting what teams can offer even their most valuable players. The leaked details from the Fever's camp reveal just how desperate they are to keep her. Reports suggest they're exploring every legal avenue to offer Clark incentives that would make her stay worthwhile. Performance bonuses, equity in the team, endorsement partnerships, all of these are on the table, but even these measures might not be enough. The reality is that the league itself needs to step in and change its rules if it hopes to retain a player of Clark's caliber. And it's not just about Clark. Her situation is a litmus test for the WNBA's future. If the league can't find a way to pay its top players what they're worth, it risks losing them to rival leagues or overseas opportunities. This isn't hypothetical. It's already happening. Players like Breanna Stewart and Diana Taurasi have famously spent off seasons playing in Europe and Asia, where they can earn significantly more than their WNBA salaries. Clark hasn't ruled out these options, and you can bet other leagues are watching this situation closely. ready to swoop in if the Fever can't deliver. The economic impact of Clark's presence cannot be overstated. Her rookie season has brought $36 million to the city of Indianapolis alone. That's not just ticket sales. It's hotel bookings, restaurant revenue, and local business growth. For a city like Indianapolis, which has long prided itself on being a hub for sports, losing Clark would be a devastating blow. The Fever know this, and so does the WNBA. The league has a responsibility not just to its teams, but to the cities they represent. And keeping Clark in Indianapolis is critical to maintaining that momentum. Yet, the hurdles remain. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement, which runs through 2025, caps rookie salaries at $76,535. Even after Clark's rookie contract ends, the maximum salary she could earn under the current rules is just $241,000, a figure that pales in comparison to her market value. And while endorsement deals can help bridge the gap, they're not enough to compensate for what she's truly worth to the league. This is where the Fever's strategy becomes crucial. The leaked reports suggest they're already working to secure her future, despite the limitations of the current CBA. One rumored option is offering Clark a revenue-sharing deal where she would receive a percentage of the team's profits. This would be a groundbreaking move for the WNBA, one that could set a precedent for other teams and players. But even this idea faces significant challenges. Revenue-sharing agreements are notoriously difficult to negotiate, and they require buy-in from the league and its owners, a group that hasn't always been quick to embrace change. The Fever are also reportedly exploring the possibility of a long-term endorsement partnership tied directly to the team. This would allow them to compensate Clark indirectly by partnering with brands that align with her image. It's a creative solution, but it's not without its risks. For one, it relies on the assumption that brands will continue to see value in associating with the Fever. A safe bet as long as Clark is there, but a gamble if her star power ever wanes. And then there's the question of Clark's own priorities. So far, she's remained focused on her game, avoiding much of the drama surrounding her contract situation. But she's no fool. She knows her worth, and she knows she has options. Whether it's playing overseas, joining a rival league, or even stepping away from basketball to focus on her growing portfolio of endorsement deals, Clark has the leverage to dictate her own future. The Fever are aware of this, which is why they're pushing so hard to lock her in now. But what happens if they can't? The repercussions would be felt across the league. Losing Clark would be a PR nightmare for the WNBA, undermining the progress it has made in recent years. It would also send a clear message to other players. If the league can't retain its biggest star, what hope is there for anyone else? The WNBA has worked hard to position itself as a viable career option for female athletes. But Clark's situation highlights just how far it still has to go. What's perhaps most frustrating is that the solution seems so obvious. The league needs to overhaul its pay structure, plain and simple. The current system, designed to promote parity and financial stability, is holding back players like Clark, who have the potential to elevate the sport to new heights. It's a classic case of short-term thinking getting in the way of long-term growth. By investing in its players, the WNBA could create a virtuous cycle where higher salaries lead to better performance, increased viewership, and ultimately greater profitability. But change takes time, and time is running out. The clock is ticking not just on Clark's rookie contract, but on the league's ability to prove it can support its stars. The Fever are doing everything they can to keep her, but they can only do so much within the confines of the current system. Unless the WNBA steps up and makes the necessary changes, it risks losing the very players who have the potential to save it. Caitlin Clark's story is about more than just basketball. It's about what happens when talent, marketability, and outdated systems collide. It's a story of opportunity and frustration, of progress and resistance. And it's a story that's far from over. The next few years will be critical, not just for Clark, but for the WNBA as a whole. Whether the league rises to the occasion or falls short will determine the future of women's basketball for years to come. One thing is certain, Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere quietly. She's not just a player. She's a movement, a force of nature that demands attention. The Fever know it. The WNBA knows it. And soon, the entire sports world will know it too.